Well, look at our 2023 Model Y. If you saw the first video, we're taking Elon up on his offer to transfer FSD from our 2022 Model Y to a new version. And I did that because hardware 3 to hardware 4. In this video, it'll be a short one. I'm just going to tell you the process that we went from after we put our $250 deposit down. I'll have some pickup video, pickup day video. That was kind of funny, actually. We'll look at some of the things that have changed because, believe it or not, in the last year, quite a bit has changed. And I'll give you my first impressions on what I like and if there's anything I don't like. So let's get started. If you saw my FSD swap video, you realized I was intrigued enough with Elon's offer to allow us to swap FSD to a new car that I put $250 down in order that I could get a firm final price and see if it was worth it. In that video, I listed the reasons why I was intrigued, but I also listed some of the questions I had, and you guys were kind enough to give me some comments that were really thoughtful and insightful. So on 7/22, I put $250 down. 8 days later, we actually had a VIN assigned to us. The very next day, they wanted me to schedule delivery, but they hadn't given me any quote on the trade-in yet. The day after that, they gave me this reminder that said, "Final reminder, if delivery is not scheduled by 4 p.m. tomorrow, vehicle will automatically be released to the next waiting customer. Order will be placed on hold and is subject to cancellation." But I still didn't have a trade-in value. Later that day, after messaging with them and explaining that I needed a trade-in value before I could make a final decision, they came in with a $39,200 quote. But that came in by message, not through the app, and you have to accept it through the app. That was $500 less than the estimate, but I figured, that was likely. I had a couple chips on the hood, so that didn't surprise me. But like I said, it did not show up in the app. I did have a question, though, because we were about to set out on a trip to Seattle, and so that would add like 600 miles to the car. And I was worried that that might affect the trade-in offer. And they said, no problem, as long as you keep it within 1,000 miles. So that was nice. My family wasn't real pleased with me on that trip because I'd gone a year without getting my door dinged or scratched or somebody keying it. So I didn't want to drive my car anywhere. And when we did, I parked it out in the middle of nowhere. While we were on the trip, they actually asked me to make payment. And I couldn't do that. There wasn't a trade-in offer yet. The trade-in offer has to show up in the app before the final value is calculated. So I explained that to them. And on the 5th, which was, 4 days later, we did get a final trade-in offer in the app. And it was $38,500. This is $1,200 less than the estimate and $700 less than the offer they made in the messages just days before. So I rejected the offer in the app and explained to them that, you had given me this solid offer in messages, and within an hour, they honored the message price. So they sent me some forms and I filled them out, and they removed FSD from the price and transferred it over to the new vehicle. So that was it. They recalculated the final payment, and our delta after the federal rebate, which we won't see obviously until we file our taxes, will be about $7,100. And that was around my threshold. So we decided to go with it. And on the 9th of August, we headed out to pick up our new car. Kind of bittersweet this morning. This car has been great to us. We were actually getting sentimental yesterday. My daughter was apologizing to it for things she had said when it was on FSD. My wife was getting a little teary-eyed. I was cleaning it all up and feeling a little nostalgic. It's not too many cars. Well, I've never had a car that brings that sort of compassion and sentimentality to it. It's a little bittersweet. Well, when we got into the Liberty Lake dealership in Spokane, as soon as we got out of the car, somebody walked up to us and said, "Hi, Scott." And so I started talking with him and eventually got around to asking him, "Well, how do you know my name?" He says, "I'm the guy who helped you with your car 14 months ago. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, man, you have a great memory. You must have delivered 1,000 cars between now and then." He said, "Well, I watch your videos." So there you go, folks. Video superstar. It was kind of cute. So AJ walked us around, took us inside, did the paperwork. If you've never done this with Tesla before, picking up your car is so easy. About 5 minutes of signing papers, and then you walk around, you inspect the car, and then they get in and they show you things you may not know. So while I was doing the paperwork, I was looking around, and my son was looking at the different cars, and my wife was getting too interested in a Model X. But it got me to thinking how different things are from the way they were 14 months ago. When we bought ours 14 months ago, they didn't even have all the models in the showroom. And at one point last summer, they weren't even taking test drives. Now they've not only got the showroom full, but they've got all sorts of demo cars, and you can walk in and do a demo right off the street. It's nice to see the difference. So after signing the paperwork, we went out and said goodbye to our car. And then we checked out the new car. And man, it looked good. I went and checked all the doors because I had one door before that didn't close with the finger touch. They all finger touch closed. The paint looked really good. The gaps were good. We were surprised by some of the things that weren't in our last car, but we'll cover those in a second. So after we inspected the car and AJ walked me through some of the new features, it was kind of fun, we said goodbye and we headed home. While I'm thinking about it, let me thank the crew at Liberty Lake. They were all very friendly and helpful and professional. It was a great experience. Congrats, guys. Thank you. So what's changed? Well, on our drive home, I noticed right away that it was quieter in the cabin. My family wasn't as sure as I was, but I'm positive it's much less wind noise in the cabin, which was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. The cameras obviously are the new Hardware 4 cameras. One of the new features of the new car is that under service, you can go in there and look at the 4 cameras. And I've never been able to see what the view of the pillar camera was before, and now I can. And that's going to be useful. I'm going to go out and do some tests and see how far down the road it can see cars, because that was the shortcoming I felt on Hardware 3, was that it could not see far enough down the road to make a safe decision whether it was safe to proceed or not when you had high-speed cross traffic. The cover in the rear was new. I have a feeling it's more useful in places where you're trying to hide valuables so that people don't break into your car, and Spokane hasn't gotten to that point yet. For those who are wondering, it's really easy to fold up. You just put your hand under here to the fold and you press up and it just folds right up, and it even comes out of the car if you want. Oh, there's carpet in the side bins. There's that wood on the doors, and I'm not sure about that. I don't dislike it. As my daughter said, it's a nice accent when you walk up and open the door to the car. You go, oh, that's new and that's nice. But when you get in the car, I'm not sure I like the wraparound feeling of it. Most of the family agrees that they like it better than the old. One of the biggest changes is the comfort suspension. I always thought the ride was good in my old car. It's better in this one, noticeably better. And so I'm very pleased to have the comfort suspension. Park Assist is vision only now. I don't have the USS. Ultrasonic sensors. But you know, even though it's clearly not as accurate as USS was, they are faking it pretty good. And there's one change that caught me off guard and kind of made me excited because I may have had a hand in it. Back before we bought our old car, 14 months old, Sawyer Merritt pointed out that there was a manual door release in the back seat of the Model Y. And so I made a video on how you could actually make that usable because it was very hard to get to. It'd never be usable in an emergency. Well, I'm looking at changes in the new car, and the bottom mat thing has a big fold in it, and I'm wondering what the heck this is for. So I pull it out, and sure enough, where the old access cover was that used to be hard to get to, it's now bigger, it's easy to get to, it's marked in red, and so you can just grab this thing, get the thing out of there, pull on the cover release and pull the actual manual door release. So it looks like they refocused and made that an emergency back door release, which is very cool. As mentioned earlier, I was really glad to see that you can close all the doors with just a light finger touch, because my driver's side door, as you can see here, didn't do that on the old car. I was very pleased to see that the seats are more comfortable. I haven't gone on a long trip yet. I know everybody says these things are great, but they've never been real comfortable to me. The new ones are definitely more comfortable. And the thing that makes me happy is we used to have a high-pitched whine that would show up occasionally, and it was very sporadic, but when it showed up, it would irritate the heck out of me because it was like the frequency of a dental drill. Well, the new car doesn't have that, so that makes me happy. Just a couple of tips for those of you who may decide to do this, trade in your own Tesla for a new one. Make sure that on the charge screen you change the charging amps. Mine was set way higher than it is for my home charger. My home charger is 40 amps and it was set, I think, at 42 amps. And what you're supposed to do is take the amperage of the charger and multiply it by 0.8. So mine needed to be set at 32 amps. So make sure you do that. Also, any apps that may have your VIN number, make sure you change those, like Recurrent. I find their reports very useful. And so I went in and changed that immediately. So are there any things I don't like as well as my 2022? Well, really only one thing. I don't have FSD yet. They haven't released it for Hardware 4, and I had no idea how much I was depending on. You know, I do get advanced autopilot and auto steer on autopilot and the chimes when the traffic light changes and those sorts of things. I miss FSD a lot. Steering on autopilot is nowhere near as smooth or as intelligent as FSD is, so I'm really excited to get that. Oh, and I guess there is one other little thing that irritated me. I had just renewed my annual subscription to premium connectivity like a month ago in my old car, and I asked if they could transfer it to the new car, and they said, nope, they can't do that. And so I asked, well, can I have a partial refund? And they said, nope, we can't do that. I don't hold the people that gave me that news responsible, but management needs to fix this. It's a silly, easily fixed policy that really needs to be fixed. Well, in conclusion, is it going to be worth the $7,100? Now that I have the car, I think it definitely is. Not only do I have a new car with a new warranty, a new battery, new tires, but the seats are a little bit more comfortable. I've got that little annoyances, about the door not closing that's been fixed on this one. The whine is gone. And more importantly, comfort suspension is real and there's less wind noise. But most importantly, I've got Hardware 4 now, and I think it just feels like it's going to be able to do FSD, and that will make all the difference. So only time will tell, but right now it sure feels like it's going to be worth it. Well, that about does it. If I didn't cover anything, ask some questions in the comments or give me your feedback. I like hearing from you guys. You have insights I normally don't see, which is encouraging and helps me grow and make these videos better. Consider liking and subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. Until later, take care.
Well, hey, look at our brand new Model Y. So we decided to take Elon up on his FSD swap offer. And in this video, we'll talk about the steps that we took from what I showed you last time to getting to this process. We have some video of the pickup day and some fun experiences there. Some features we like, some features we don't like. Well, really, we kind of like all of the features. And then I can't remember the last point!